Okay, first off, I want to say thank you, Space Buddies, for all supports on my YouTube with comments and likes. We are crazy close to 500 subs, on which I will be handing out that Raven. So if this is your first time here, then check out my 400 subs video and find out all about how to enter this giveaway. In this podcast, we will of course talk about Eve Echoes and Benzie's taking on it. We also will talk a little bit about Infinite Lagrange, the NetEase other space game. But we will also dive into Benzie's life in Africa. Love is the most powerful thing in the world, and after knowing more about Benzie, I feel I want to support his beautiful thing. Benzie was kind enough to take some time to be here, and it's an honor for me. So put on the autopilot and join us. Ahoy there, Captain Benzie. Thank you for joining, my friend. You know, I had to say this. How are you doing today?
Ahoy there. Yeah, oh my goodness, that was amazing. That was amazing. More people need to start their conversations with ahoy. I'm doing great. I'm really glad to be here, so thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, thank you for taking your time.
No worries, it's not like it's overly precious or anything. I'm just a human.
Oh, yeah. So, is there anyone who don't know who you are on Eve Echoes?
Apparently, yes. Which, again, I'm fine with. I make content for Eve Echoes, of course. I try to... I'm apparently one of the more prominent ones out there. But absolutely, there are people who I know don't watch my content. I've been in Void Alliance chat. In our own alliance, I've been talking. People have gone, oh, okay, you've got videos on YouTube. What do I search under? It's like, I'm just a dude who makes content, and out there are some folks who seem to enjoy it. I'm very fortunate for that.
Oh yeah, you're making a video like every day.
That's correct. I aim to put a video out at least every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, usually at 5 o'clock UTC. But there are occasions when there's so much going on that I'll put bonus content out on the weekend, and sometimes, real life happens that stops me getting a daily update. But that's the plan, at least. That's the plan.
I think it's great. Would you say that you are a huge gamer?
So this might sound a little bit #first world problems. I would consider myself a massive gamer. I have been gaming since back in the days of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Game Boy, that kind of thing. Those were my first consoles. I've mainly been a console gamer, not so much on PC. Shortly after moving out to Africa, however, I pretty much shifted almost entirely across to mobile. I was emulating on mobile. I was playing new games on mobile, and it became the platform that got me. The first world problems part of it is that because of how much content I try to put out for Eve Echoes, I tend to find that if I'm playing other games, I start to feel guilty. Like if I'm downloading something and playing something that's not Eve Echoes, I start feeling like I'm not. It's kind of that feeling you get if you're sitting at work and you're not doing your job when there's work that should be being done, kind of thing, I guess.
I think that is normal. I get that feeling all the time.
Because, of course, making content for Eve Echoes is pretty much my day job. So I suppose when I'm sitting playing other games, whether it's on my phone or the PlayStation or whatever, I sit there and I'm watching myself playing it going, I should make content on this, or my time's being wasted. Even playing Eve Echoes at times, I kind of sit there and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm being productive enough, which is a really weird and horrid feeling when you're gaming, something that we're supposed to do as, a relaxation activity.
I also have an obligation to my viewers that if I just sit and not do anything productive and just playing for fun, I also get the feeling like, yeah, okay, I need to think about stuff that I will do like later in the week. I have to have that in the back of my head all the time.
And the craziest thing about it is that every time I've said to the community that, like, look, guys, I'm really sorry. Things have come up. I've just been struggling. I've not got a video for tonight. Everyone's like, it's fine, Benzie, take a night off, for crying out loud. Like, you feel like you're letting people down, but the community for Echoes has been, for the most part, fantastic at that.
That's pretty much how it is, I guess. So, did you make your channel for Eve Echoes?
No, I originally started making content for mobile gaming right the way back in 2017. I was playing a new, at the time, mobile game called Command & Conquer Rivals, and I was getting sick and tired of reading all of these reviews and Reddit posts of people getting angry at the game and telling everyone that it was terrible. And when you looked into it, the biggest problem was that they just, for want of a better term, they hadn't understood the game. They'd gone into it expecting it to be something, hadn't engaged with it properly, and then came out the other end feeling like the game had cheated them. So I started to make content and little tutorials and guides and tips and tricks, mainly on the concept there of saying to people, look, this game is really awesome, just this is what you need to be doing, this is how you can get the most out of it. At that point in time, I was very fortunate. EA, who were publishing the game, yeah, I know, I hear the hissing in the background there, EA contacted me and said, look, we really like your content. How can we help? And so they started giving me assets, they started featuring my videos in their game, and my channel exploded. I got over that initial content creator hump, and I shot up to, I think, 3,000 subscribers in the space of like a month and a half. Wow. Which doesn't sound like all that much, but that first hurdle is insane. Just trying to get the first 100 subs onto your channel, it's horrific. As I'm sure you know, you've done this yourself. You know what it's like to try and sort of grind that up from the bottom. Yes. Not an easy thing to do.
Oh no, it's not. I recently made my 400 subscriber video, and in that I made it like a story. So I told people like how it was for me to come to where I am today. And I've only been doing YouTube for 4 months, so it's
really good.
Yeah, it's gone very good. But I mean, the first month I had like, I think 40 or 50 subs, and that is very hard because you don't reach to anyone. And the way that you made videos for Command & Conquer, and you're helping people to understand the game, and that I had no idea you did that. And that is actually what I'm doing with my channel. I want people to understand Eve Echoes, what it is. It's not an iOS game like the normal ones, and you need to delve into this and really pay attention to what the game is to understand it, to actually enjoy it. And it's hard for people. I mean, it's iOS. It's not easy. But I was happy to hear that you did that. So maybe my channel also goes well then.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first heard that Eve Echoes was a thing, that Eve was coming to mobile, for me, as someone who was mainly on mobile as a platform, you've seen how terrible the internet is out here. I didn't have a computer at all that could play could play games. Anything more modern than basically Quake would really struggle on my laptop. So the fact that Eve was coming to mobile was a big thing for me, and when I got into the open beta and I started to fly around, the same situation came up. I saw people saying, I don't get this. This game's terrible. What am I supposed to do? How does anything work? And I was like, right, okay, crack the knuckles and dive in. And I just started making content basically to say, this is how you do things. And so was born the Cat Skull Academy. That was just born out of that drive to get people over that first hump. Because, yeah, Eve Echoes does have this incredibly high barrier of entry. You can't just pick it up and jump in and expect to be doing well on your first day. You need to really engage with it, to read it, and a lot of it's trial and error, because Eve has this sort of thing that it does where it doesn't tell you anything. Like, look at the devices for changing how a nano core looks. An exogenous light recombination device. The hell does that mean? It doesn't tell you anything about it.
And you go into the description.
Yeah, go on. You go into the description and it doesn't tell you anything either. It's all written in this really fluffy way that's supposed to draw you into the theme of the game. But for the average gamer, it's like, what the hell is going on? And it's, it's a game that is notorious for that hump. So if I could get people over that hump and get them just started into the game, here's a couple of fits. They're not the best, but it'll do you. Go, fly that ship, have fun with it. If you now understand how your capacitor works and why you've gone for an afterburner instead of a micro warp drive, then maybe you'll grow and engage with the game and you'll stick around. That was my theory, at least.
I think it's a very nice thing to do. So, have you been active in EVE Online?
Yes, I started back in about 2013. I was living on a boat in central London at the time, using one of those little wireless dongles that you plug into the side of your laptop. And I had a friend of mine, a Scottish guy called Paul, teaching me how to play the game. And he was, fantastic. He did what I try to do now. Explained how every part of your ship works, how the different missions work. This is back before EVE had a proper tutorial system in it.
Oh yeah.
There's the funny story of that one, that he was teaching me everything I needed to know about, like my frigates and my destroyers, and every time I jumped through this one gate, I would get locked down by a pirate. It was the first nullsec system I'd ever been into, and every time this pirate seemed to find me, I might get 2 or 3 jumps in, this guy would find me, lock me down, and destroy me. So I started saving up and training my skills, and a few weeks later, I jumped into my Hurricane for the first time and thought to myself, right, I'm going to get this guy this time. I jumped through the gate and all I heard was Paul in the cabin across from me yelling, "Oh, god damn!" At which point I blapped him out of the sky. It'd been him the entire time.
Amazing. That's a good
Probably
story.
why I like the Hurricane so much.
Hurricane is a nice ship.
It's actually my favourite ship, despite the fact that I'm known as a frigate and destroyer pilot. Hurricane is my favourite hull.
Yeah. Yeah, I do these videos, what the fuck happened videos on a lot of ships. And people tend to think that I don't like ships, but I kind of like every ship.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
I'm the same. There are some ships I really like, and there are some ships I really dislike, but 90% of the ships in EVE fall into that middle ground of, this is cool.
Yeah, yes, of course. The Cat Skull Academy, that's a very nice name. I really like that name.
I wish I could say I came up with it.
How do you like it? Is that an alliance, or is it a corporation? It's an alliance, right?
So the Cat Skull Academy is the name of a series of videos I do on YouTube aimed at teaching new players the ropes and teaching existing players how new mechanics work. It's also the name of a station in Nullsec. We now actually have the Cat Skull Academy in Nullsec floating around. But the corporation is actually the Cat Skull Cartel. The Cat Skull Cartel came along first of all. I knew I wanted us to be based in Minmatar space, and I liked the idea of Angel Cartel. They've always been my favourite pirate faction. It was between them and the Gurustas.
Oh,
and we came up with the name Cat Skull Cartel. That's actually where the Cat Skull branding even came from. Before that, everything was Captain Benzie and what I used to call the gaming galleon. Then everything became Cat Skull branded after that, because we put it up to vote. What should we call the corporation when we started EVE Echoes? Cat Skull Cartel won. I did come up with the Cat Skull Cartel idea, but I didn't vote for it. And it was probably about a month into the open beta, someone said to me, if you're doing these tutorial videos, why don't you call them the Cat Skull Academy? And I was like, that's got a really nice ring to it. To this day, I couldn't tell you if that was Jade Zion, Sarpedon, or Alex the Master. One of those three suggested it to me, and it kind of stuck.
It's really nice. How do you pay for your ships in game? What do you do?
Oh. I open my wallet, I take out my credit card.
You're a whale.
No, I try not to where possible. I obviously pay for my combo omegas each month, but I try not to plex it up too much if I can help it.
All right.
Previously, my main ISK generation has been through PvE ratting, just because PvP is not particularly lucrative in terms of how much ISK you can actually make with it. But I've always been kind of a little bit hamstrung because I flatly refuse to jump into something like a Prophecy or a Myrmidon or a Dominix or a Geddon or something and sort of tear up the hard missions. I've got one character who does missions entirely in a hurricane, and does nothing else but hurricanes, and of course I've got Captain Benzie who flies around in frigates and destroyers, which does put a cap on the content I can do. There's no way in heck I'm ever going to, solo a Tech 10 storyline in any of the ships that Benzie flies. It's just not going to happen. Now that exploration is a thing, that is going to be my main moneymaker. I love exploration. I've always thoroughly enjoyed it in EVE Online. When Echoes came out with the resonance wave scanning system, I actually enjoy that more than probe scanning. Probe scanning, to me, I love it. I think it's a cool system, but it's just a little bit too fiddly, and it's just kind of cat and mouse and hot and cold, drag it in. The resonance waves, when I was recording the Relic and Data Site video, I went onto the Fulmination Content Creator test server. I spawned a couple of Relic and Data Sites, the top tier ones, literally the highest level ones I could find, because I wanted to showcase what was in them. It took me 6 attempts to scan one of them down. The resonance wave was that horrific. It was one where you had to isolate 3, and 4 of the waves all looked almost identical. It was horrendous. And I love it.
Did you have the skills?
Yeah, it's Fulmination,
really?
So I'm fully skilled in everything. On Fulmination, I was flying a fully tricked out Astero with an Explorer wide resonance scanner and full space exploration technology Expert 5. Everything on Fulmination. I have every single skill in the game maxed out, and I still couldn't do it.
And it was still that hard. Oh, that's I feel that's good. But all right.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So exploration is going to be my big thing from here on out. I love finding those relic and data sites and jumping into them and doing all that. And it's just fun running gate camps.
Oh yes. I did that on EVE Online a lot. So what is EVE Online or EVE Echoes without exploring the space? It's amazing.
It's the first 8 months of EVE Echoes is what it is.
Yes, it is.
I get you.
I'm not sure if it stops at 8 months though. I think you can explore for years.
No, I mean, we got exploration 8 months into EVE Echoes, so it was what we had before that, I guess. But yeah, I love exploration. I love it so much, but there's still more to come. I'm hoping that we do get the scanning minigame at some point in the future. And as silly as it sounds, one of the things I want most in-game is to fly out to the sodding Eve Gate and actually see the Eve Gate.
Yeah. Have you seen it on EVE Online?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have. And of course, I jumped back into EVE Online recently because they did that big new update where they added a load of new stuff.
Yeah.
Going out to Old Man Star, seeing the gate at Old Man Star was just incredible. Knowing the storyline and the lore behind that. Powerful moment, and I'm really hoping we get that in EVE Echoes. I want to see the Eve Gate. I want to see the Eternal Flame in Pater. I want to fly through Titanamachi or the Golgotha Fields and all these places that have massive amounts of backstory in the EVE universe that are there in EVE Online. You can fly through them.
Oh yeah.
They don't exist in Echoes. And it infuriated me the other day being all the way deep into the Great Wildlands. Deep into the Great Wildlands, I found a relic site, I jumped into it, and it's an Amar statue.
Oh. That's
weird. To me, that just...
how did it get there?
Exactly. And there's a part of me that thinks it's just the developers going, right, we've got a new anomaly, we're just going to have it randomly pick one of the sites. I was running some encounters today in Galente space, and it was a Minmatar station, a wrecked Minmatar station that I was flying around. And it's like, I get that you want it so that if someone's flying around Galente, you know, someone is based in Galente space, they mix things up a little bit. But to me, it feels like it's ignoring the rich lore that's there in the EVE universe. Like, if there was a reason, if I did a mission and it turned out that there's an Amarr station in the Great Wildlands, okay, yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's just assets that are randomly generated, and they've generated in the wrong area of space that actually conflicts a little bit.
It kind of.
So I don't know. I'd like to see that fixed.
Yep, I agree. I want to see that fixed too. What is your favorite ship? And you cannot say Estero.
Friendship.
Yeah.
No, in honesty, I would probably have to say the Hurricane. The Hurricane has just got so many personal memories for me. Yeah. Plus, it's such a versatile ship. I think, you know, like the Dramiel, the Probe, and the Rifter and the Wolf, probably come in pretty close, along with the Republic Fleet Firetail, if that ever gets added to Echoes.
Ooh,
but yeah, it's probably the Hurricane.
Yeah, and I like the Cyclone. So, but I'm not a I'm not a Minmatar guy, but I'm mostly Amarr. But the Cyclone is crazy. So
the Amarr have some really cool ships. The Arbitrator is powerful, looks awesome. Some of them look a little bit dodgy, perhaps. You know the ones I'm talking about.
Yes. There's a lot of ships in EVE Echoes that looks a bit dodgy. The smaller the ships are, the weirder they look. Except like
I think there are some of the Amarr ones as well, I think, that just look like they're trying to compensate for something.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, you can't tell me you've looked at the Abaddon and gone, no, that doesn't look like a penis. It looks like a penis.
Well, then, if we're gonna talk about that, then I think the Galente has the worst one. The Thorax. You got the balls.
Oh, yeah, true. I always forget about the Thorax, and then I see it, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, every time.
Galente there's just something about Galente's ship design, isn't there? There's like, you know, you look at things like the Hyperion, the Algos, I would argue even the Tristan. These really cool, beautiful designs that are awesome. The Vexor, and then you see the Immicus and the Thorax.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But what the Immicus? I kind of disagree. The Immicus is kind of cool. It has like a spear, you know, like when you're riding on a horse and like putting people off, you know, whatever. Like it looks pretty cool, right? Isn't that Immicus, right? Isn't that what is? Oh shit!
The Immicus is the little frigate.
Yeah, with a spear, right?
That's the Incursus you're thinking of there, I think. Which looks awesome. The Incursus, I agree, is an amazing ship. The Immicus is the hauler one that looks kind of like a man leaning on a crutch, or it's got the Covert Ops and the Explorer variants. Yeah. The thing I love about the Immicus is it's so ridiculously hideous. It had to have been designed that way. It is so perfectly designed to be hideous from every single angle.
That is actually true. Like, now I know what ship you're talking about. Oh, shit. I have another ship. Oh, my God. I think it's Galente, too, actually. I'm not hating Galente, but...
Oh, there's plenty to hate about Galente. As I said, there's plenty to love, but then there's just some that are just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, like maybe if it was like Tristan or something, it looks like a crab, but I don't know. It's kind of cool anyway. So, was it a?
I mean, yeah, the Tristan does kind of look. It's, you know, it's even got the backstory. The Tristan as having been designed by a known cannibal, hence his nickname, the Fat Man. But yeah.
Yeah, you also have like the Tormentor. That's also like looking like a shrimp. It's a weird one.
I quite like the Tormentor though. I hope that we get a Tormentor assault one day. The Celestis. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that is so bad.
The Celestis is the one that looks like a banana swallowed a vacuum cleaner.
Oh yeah. Fuck, the Celeste is too covered up. That is a fucking crazy ship.
It's hideous. There's no two ways about it. It's hideous.
Yeah.
Like, normally I'm open to people having their own opinions, but if you think that's a good looking ship, you're just wrong. You're just wrong.
Yeah. Imicus is pretty nice too. Weird one. Yeah. Right. I mean, to be honest, most ships are pretty good actually. I like the Megatron. That is amazing.
That's what I mean. Like we were saying earlier about like people accuse you of not liking any ships. You kind of can sit there and say, "Oh, I really like this one and this one and this one." Like to me, the Stratios is gorgeous. The Hurricane's amazing. I love the Megatron, and there's like maybe 10, 15 ships that I think are incredible. Then there's maybe 5 ships that I think are the worst thing that exist in design, and then the remainder of the ships are just like that's still really cool.
Yeah, it is. Like, I mean, they really put a lot of time on it.
Even the Ibis, which is a bloody Corvette for the Caldari. I really like it.
Yeah. Even the Osprey. No, not the Osprey. It's hideous.
No, I'll agree with the Osprey. I like the Osprey, the one that looks like a half-cooked chicken. Yes.
Yes. The chicken. And then we have the Prophecy. That's also kind of like
Prophecy, the space turkey.
Yeah, it's also a chicken. A turkey.
Golden space turkey.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. We could sit and do this like the whole night, so we have to continue.
Oh, believe me, we should move on because I honestly could.
Yes. Okay. I might cut some of that out because it will be too long. So okay.
Go for it, it's long.
What do you want to change on Eve Echoes?
Oh boy, I can't say too much on this because I'm literally scripting a video that is the list of this as we go.
Okay, cool.
But basically, there's a lot I would like to change in regards to small ships, like on things like balance. But that's pretty boring to talk about in a situation like this. So to give the sweeping there, I personally think that interceptors are way too strong. That they do way too many different roles completely well. Destroyers, I don't think destroyers are as bad as some people make out, but they're definitely not where they need to be. They need more damage. Give them all an extra high slot, and the power grid to do it, and that would fix destroyers as far as I'm concerned. Beyond that, as I mentioned earlier, I would love to see all those lore sites being added. I'd love to fly out to New Eden and see the Eve Gate. I would love to go through to Promised Land and see that big slab that's full of stars. I'd love to go out to Pater and see the Eternal Flame and this kind of thing. The lore in the background I'd like to see. I think recently as well, we've had a lot of people who, understandably, I may disagree with them, but I get where they're coming from. Those people who used to do like storyline encounters all day, every day, make an absolute boatload of ISK and are now complaining that scanning is a thing, that is no longer completely safe for them. I get where they're coming from in that high-sec, if you just fly around high-sec all day, it can be pretty boring.
Yeah.
I would like to see mission variety added in. As I said, I jumped back into EVE Online fairly recently, just after they did the graphical update, and I did a couple of encounters, and it just reminded me that like there are some encounters there. In EVE Echoes, encounters are fly to this area, kill the first wave of pirates, kill the second wave of pirates, kill the third wave of pirates, and you're done. In EVE Online, I had one where I needed to keep killing pirates until one of them dropped an access code for me to get into a cargo container, and the second he dropped that code, I ran to the cargo container, looted it, and then warped out, leaving the rest of the rats behind. Yes. I had another one where I had to keep killing rats until the boss appeared, and again, I ignored the rest of the rats at that point, killed the boss, and flew out. Ones where you need to blow up installations. You can kill the rats to make it easier, or you can just go straight for the tower. There was even one where Concord ask you to hold a guy in place whilst they come. So you fly to this guy and you scram him and you web him and you orbit and survive until Concord arrive. And if you kill him, you fail the mission.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And
Yeah,
it's got proper lore and overarching stories through it.
stuff you can do in EVE Online on the missions. They have these clouds that make damage. You have to just pass it, and I think it wouldn't hurt to have that on EVE Echoes as well.
Absolutely. I think that would give high-sec pilots something much more interesting to do. It would give us a lot more lore and backstory to engage with the universe. I think it's just outright, it's more fun.
We definitely need lore in the game. Yes.
We know that with the exploration update, the lore team, there is a lore team working on EVE Echoes. I don't know how many people that actually is. They went away shortly after the game launched. They are now back, which is why all of the big patches have had storylines and things to them. So there's a little bit of hope that we're going to see a lot more in the lore in the game very soon.
That is great news too. From another game to another game, I've seen you playing Infinite Lagrange. I did got a question to actually play it, and so I downloaded it and I logged into it. Now, to be honest, when I started it up and I felt like it was exactly like Ark of War or Nova Empire or Stellaris.
Oh god, yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
I don't like these games when I have to sit and click for 8 hours and use speed ups and build a station and do all this, in my opinion, crap. You know, I don't like
yeah.
these
No,
games.
I get you.
But then I look at your videos and I'd be like, I mean, it's pretty much like EVE in a sense of you have to learn the game to understand it. So here is my question to you. Can you, first of all, explain Infinite Lagrange in one sentence? Can you do that?
Infinite Lagrange is a 4X, an explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate game for mobile, where players are dropped into a brand new solar system and need to work together to accrue resources, locate the parts to build a new gate, and then complete that server and move on into a new environment, which makes it unique amongst these 4X games, and that's what really got me hooked in.
Oh, that was amazing. I did not think you would actually caught my attention, but you actually did. What? So
Thank you.
You're actually saying that in a way you work together with other people on that. Like I joined Sagittarius, I think, and we work together to build a gate to go home or like clear that area. Is that what it is?
Sort of. The law of the game is that mankind discovered this technology to warp between stars using what they refer to as the Lagrange node network. Then there was, as there always is in these things, a big war, and it all collapsed. Now, after that war, the Chechen Empire is rebuilding the Lagrange network. So you, as explorers, sign up to this thing called the Dawn Accord. You get dumped into a new star system where you are trying to reconnect that system back to the Lagrange network. And so you work, I say work with people because I'm on 2 separate servers, and one of them is heavily PvP active. Like, I've lost my base 2 or 3 times. People have destroyed me. I've destroyed other players. The main server I'm on, V1207 Sagittarius, is very, very collaborative, like to the point that unions have actively given up cities that they've taken to help other unions continue on their way, and it's amazing. We're, working hard to take these cities. You lay siege to a city and then you occupy it. That increases your occupancy, and as you go through the server, there are these different chapters, basically storyline chapters of that server, where the privateers, the NPC factions wage war against each other. You wage war against the NPC factions. You're trying to take their cities. You're trying to rediscover ancient technology. And at the end of the server, one of those unions will theoretically have built and now controls the Lagrange node back into that network. So you're building that Stargate together. And you get rewards when you finish the server based on your how well you did. You then move on to a new Phase 2 server where things are harder and you've got more stuff to work with, and it's incredible. It's incredible because like you, I've played games like Stellaris, Galactic Fleet, whatever it's called, Stellaris,
Yeah.
the Star Trek Fleet Command, Stellaris Galactic Command, Star Trek Fleet Command, Hades Star, all these.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you start off and you start building stuff, and then it's like, oh, you can use this item to speed it up. By the way, you can get more of those in the shop.
Yeah.
The thing about Infinite Lagrange is you can't get more of those in the shop. And when it comes to upgrading your base from Tech 1 to Tech 2 to Tech 3 all the way to Tech 9, you can't speed that up at all. Tech 9 takes 36 hours to train up. Once you've done everything you need to be able to do it, you dump your resources in, and then it's a 36-hour timer to go from Tech level 8 to Tech level 9. And there is nothing you can do to speed that up whatsoever.
Damn it, I used all my stuff.
It feels like a real-time strategy, but on an MMO scale. It feels like that it takes time to build ships, it takes time to gather resources, it takes time to build things with those resources. It takes, in certain cases, we have to stage towards the city a day or two ahead of time. We have to relocate to a new city that we're going to lay siege to, because it's 6 hours travel time away. And so you have to plan for all of this. And that means that it's not just pour your wallet into it. And arguably, pouring your wallet into it doesn't actually help all that much. You might unlock a few new blueprints, but in fairness, the game is designed that it's diminishing returns on your payment. If you make a small payment, like for some of the battle passes and things like that, you get a big return.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, it's kind of like, I guess, how in Eve Echoes we've got the combo Omega, so we've got basic Omega, which unlocks everything. Everything is unlocked once you get basic Omega. Okay. Then you can pay more than double basic Omega to get standard Omega, which adds a few extra skill points per minute, and then you can get both of them together, which adds a few more.
Yeah.
When you look at it, the real value is in a small payment. You can make a much bigger payment that's 3 times as much, but you're not getting all that much extra for it. And Infinite Lagrange, I think, does that really well.
Yeah. I'm actually working on a video right now that is about... It includes that Eve Echoes is not pay to win, and why it's not pay to win. That is very weird to hear, because people would say it's pay to win, but literally, if you call... I'm not sure if you have played it, Path of Exile, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Path of Exile, you can buy bag space or, chest space, so you can store more items. If you would call that pay to win, because if you can loot more, you can actually sell more, which means that you can actually buy better stuff. If that is pay to win, then sure, Eve Echoes is pay to win. But Eve Echoes, as soon as you get to some part in the game where you can fly a ship basically with 440 in skills, then there's not much you can do to be better than another guy unless you have your personal skills, like how good you are.
It's really great to hear you say that, because I actually had this discussion yesterday myself in a video, and briefly actually today. I tried live streaming for the first time today and got drawn into that rant. The first question I have is, how do you win? How do you win at Eve Echoes?
Oh, you don't. Eve Echoes is only the journey. It's never the destination. I don't think so.
Exactly this. People who argue that, it's pay to win because of X, Y, or Z, they usually bring out examples like, well, if I'm in this ship with basic skills and my opponent's in the same ship with advanced skills, they have an advantage over me. It's like, yes, but 1, you can overcome that advantage, and 2, you can bring a friend with you. Like, it's the argument that battleships are the best ships in the game because they're big. It's like, yeah, myself and 4 mates in a frigate are going to completely rip it apart.
Yes, that is so bad. And some people, they're like, I buy the most expensive ship and I buy the most expensive items, and then I just go out and kill people, and I'd be like, that is not pay to win. That is pay to cry, because you will cry, you will lose everything. And if Eve Echoes is any pay at all, then it's like pay to skip. You can skip some skill time, That's pretty much it. But if you're skipping too much, then you are not catching up with the information in the game, and that will
Yeah.
land on you anyway. So you will still get blown up wherever you are.
It's a system I've referred to in the past as pay to advance.
Yeah.
You can rush yourself towards the end game by opening your wallet and just throwing money at it. But you're going to get there, and you're going to be up against people who have done it the natural way. They've learnt everything en route, and this became ridiculous. This came to my head. It actually really upset me. Like I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. I'm being genuine. It really upset me. There was a guy who was losing his shit in the Eve Echoes official Discord because he had opened his wallet and at tech level 6 or tech level 7 or whatever had literally poured in all of the plex to buy and fit a Vindicator, Vigilant, which Vindicator, Vindicator's the battleship one.
Yeah.
He had. Yeah. I always get confused between the Vigilant and the Vindicator.
Vindicator.
He had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought this thing. He fitted it. He didn't have the skills, the actual pilot skills to trade. You know, I mean, the actual skill points invested into the right skills to fly it properly. He certainly didn't have the actual player skills to pilot it. And he undocked it, and sure enough, it got blown up in like minutes. He went out into nullsec, got scanned down, and ripped apart. And he was furious at this.
I understand.
And I kind of get where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's like that in itself shows that Eve Echoes is not pay to win. It's pay to advance, and if you pay too much, you run the risk of advancing beyond where you are mentally at in the game, what you learn and what you understand.
Indeed.
So it's upsetting.
Yeah. And some people ask me why I do attack a lot harder ships when I fly smaller ships or whatever. If I fly like a normal cruiser that cannot speed tank, and I see, for example, a Dominic's, it shouldn't be possible for me to kill it if that pilot is good enough, but just for the reason that he could just be someone who has brought his wallet just to fly it, then I just attack it, because you don't know what you're meeting. It could be a badass, amazing pilot that flies these Dominics and he will just shred you, or it's a guy that does not even know how to activate the guns and I will get the kill. So
yeah, when filming the Worm video recently, I didn't show the footage for it, but I got a Dominic's all the way down to Hull while I was in Scalding Pass. He was running an encounter. I came into the encounter, got him all the way down to Hull before he walked out in a Worm. A Worm.
It's a lot of work with taking down the drones. I assumed you had to take down the drones.
No, he just didn't. He didn't target my drones, and his drones were chasing after me. He was obviously using either large or medium drones, and they just couldn't catch the Worm doing 3,300 meters per second. And that's my point, that you've got a guy here who's got a very powerful ship, but has no concept of how to properly use that in a combat situation.
Yeah, and then he dies. That is the way it is. Eve is fucking hard.
Yeah, it really, really is. And so when it comes down to it, how do you pay to win at Eve? All you can do is pay to be more than someone else. Like, if you sit there and say, oh, well, I want to have all of these skills so that I'm better than so-and-so, that's all the people who are, you know, crying that it's pay to win, or that they feel like... I talked about this when the Hunt first came out and they did the first battle pass for that.
Yeah.
People crying that, oh, I now have to open my wallet. I say crying like I'm being dismissive. I promise you I'm not. People, you know, saying that, you know, oh, I have to open my wallet now or I'm going to fall behind. Fall behind what? There are people joining Eve Echoes every day that are joining it and having fun. There's no falling behind. Eve is all about the experience. It's an experience, not a race. And if you try to race other people, if you try to compare yourself with other people, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to burn out and drop out. The biggest piece of advice I give new players is find something you enjoy, do it, and find a way to do it with friends. That's it. Yeah. That's how to win at Eve.
If you're having fun, you're winning. That's pretty much it.
Exactly.
If it's a chore, if it feels like hard work and you don't have fun, then you have lost. I mean, then you have played the wrong way. I mean, I didn't take my Cursor at what's worth about like 2 million to nullsec and doing stuff. I used a cheaper ship, and that is pretty much the same I do today. I use not more than maybe 1% of my value when I do PvP, because if I go out with something that is so expensive and I die, I have to take out the wallet, or I have to, stop playing and just doing grind emissions for 2 weeks or whatever. I don't know. There's a reason why you don't fly ships you can't afford to lose. So
Yeah, I have a rule that I don't undock something if I don't have a backup, or I don't do anything risky with a ship if I don't have a backup. So when I was recording the worm video, I had two in the Bleaklands. I scanned him down, I jumped in, he jumped out as I jumped in, and I got destroyed by Tech 10 storyline rats, which I wasn't expecting. I was laughing my head off, and he's like, I'll learn to play, noob. I'm like, why are you getting salty at this? Why are you getting salty that I jumped you survived, and I died in a hilarious way? I docked up, I grabbed another ship, I just went out and continued recording. I had fun with it.
Yeah, I never get angry when I die. I mean, I had fun up until I died, and obviously I could type a good fight before I got popped, and if I'm lucky, they typed a good fight back, and it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that you just learn to enjoy the explosion, whether it's their ship or your ship. Just you got to see a pretty explosion, right?
Yeah, of course. That's what it's all about. Let's talk a little bit about Zimbabwe. This is where you live. You moved here because of your wife, right?
That's correct.
How did that discussion go?
So, I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I was working for a travel company in the UK selling holidays. They sent me on what they refer to as an educational experience. I did 5 nights in South Africa and 4 nights in Zimbabwe, visiting hotels that our company sold, so I could get a feeling of what was going on. 3rd night that we're in Zimbabwe, we've just come back off safari, which was one of the most amazing and terrifying experiences of my life. I say terrifying because we had a bit of a problem that actually resulted in a very dangerous situation that I won't go into. Safari is normally safe, just not when your guide is trying to show off. Anyway, 3rd night we're there, we turn up at this lodge, and it is a beautiful lodge. I recommend anyone listening just Google search Gorgeous Lodge Zimbabwe, and just take a look at the views. Exceptional.
I will.
I got off the bus half asleep, feeling like death from all the malaria pills and stuff I was taking unnecessarily, and there was this woman. Beautiful, and I knew that I needed to talk to her, and the opening line I came up with was, "That's a nice door." That was my way of impressing her.
I thought you were gonna say, and I had to come up with something to say, so I went to her and I was like, "You play Eve." All right.
Not quite.
Nice
this is June 2016. And yeah, they were nice doors. They were hand-carved doors on the lodges, and that was my way of starting a conversation. But it worked. We got talking. When I went back to the UK, we had exchanged numbers, and we kept talking. In certain cases, I'd be at home on a day off work. We'd be on Skype for literally 10 hours. I was talking to my grandmother one day, and I was saying, like, I've met this girl, I really like her, but I'm not sure what to do. I want to go out and see her in September, just do a little holiday, or maybe get her over here, but it's tricky. Grandma just said, "Why don't you get married?" And she sort of started laughing, and she said, "I joke, but your grandfather and I were married after 4 months." And I said to myself, actually, hang on. Yeah, most of that generation did sort of meet, marry, and they stayed together for 60, 80 years. Yeah. This day and age, we meet, we date for 7 years, you get engaged for 9 years more, you get married, and then you divorced a year later.
Yeah.
And this little thing in my head said, well, maybe that's because we're holding our cards too close and not committing, so screw it. I got on the plane, I flew out to Zimbabwe, and 2 days after landing, I proposed. And she said yes. So June 2016 to September 2016. I came back after that holiday, packed my bags, and landed in Zimbabwe on October 28th, 2016. We were married on November 4th. It was quick.
Wow. I'm not sure how this works, but fuck, that was amazing. You got balls. I don't know. That was good.
We'd known each other for 4 months, and we had been in the same continent, same hemisphere even, for 9 days when we were married.
Wow.
But I'm loving it.
Yes.
Could not have lucked out better.
Well, I'm very happy for
lucked out, it's
you.
been hard work.
Yeah. I'm very happy for you. So she did you even talk about moving to London? Like she moving to you, like with you?
Carrie is very much a bush girl. She was born and raised in the bush. She loves guiding, and her job in Victoria Falls was taking people around the Victoria Falls and out in the safari parks and things. Sorry, she has not left Africa. In fact, hasn't really left Zimbabwe. A little bit here in Zambia, Botswana, just across the border, sort of thing. Okay. So I'm really excited, but also a little scared to sort of take her on a holiday back to the UK once COVID starts clearing up.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a culture shock there.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you find some trees over there too.
She's already said that when she gets off the plane at Heathrow, the first thing she'll be looking for is a tree to hug. And just be like, yay, there is green.
You know what? You should buy these small trees from Japan, that you can like carry around. Whether they're called like, I don't know.
Little bonsai tree.
Yeah, bonsai trees. Yeah. Here, hold this. Think of me. Okay. Okay, so how long have you lived in Zimbabwe now?
Just coming up on 5 years. That was, as I said, October 2016 I moved here. So yeah, 5 years. 5 years since October.
All right. Okay. So the plan is to live there until you're old and grey, right?
I suppose so. I'll be honest, we don't really have a plan. It's just kind of, this is life. We take it every day as it comes, enjoy it, and we go from there.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you shouldn't plan too much either. It's a bit more loose down there, right? Isn't it?
I think loose is a good way of putting it, definitely. Some things in Africa that I just would not have expected. There are things that are so much more difficult than I think I would ever have expected. Things that you just expect to work often don't, like, power cuts fairly frequently. The water will just disappear, and sometimes in certain days, you turn the tap on and it just runs brown, and it's like, why is that? It's because, there's a burst pipe somewhere else around. Traffic lights are constantly out in town here. It's trying to source technology for me. Like, I'm sitting here doing everything on my phone. If I wanted to, get a new microphone or a new pair of earphones, I've got to buy those, then get it shipped out from the UK. And that takes a lot of time, and it's a lot more expensive because you've got to pay all that shipping and customs and import and things like that. So
yeah,
there are some difficulties, but the actual lifestyle out here is so much more sort of laid back and relaxed. It's a lot more social, and you just go around people's houses and light up a braai, throw some meat on it, crack a few beers open, just have a good evening. It's good. It's good, and these guys know how to cook meat.
Oh, I bet. So you eat a lot of meat over there, or do you eat like caterpillars? I saw something about that.
Yeah, that's a thing that I think a lot of people didn't believe when I put that in that video. Yes, meat obviously is a big thing out here. Trying to get my wife to eat more vegetables has been a challenge at times. She will, biltong. Biltong it's something that's given to kids at a young age. It's dried meat, similar. She'll absolutely crucify me later for saying this, but it's similar to beef jerky.
Oh.
It's nothing like beef jerky. It's really nice, prepared meat, dried meat.
Yeah.
But to visualize it, think of beef jerky. And kids are weaned on this. They grow up being, rather than given sweets for good behavior or they're given that for teething. Just a chunk of meat to chew on. So meat is a big part of the diet out here. If you're vegan or vegetarian, you're going to have a bad time in Africa.
Yeah.
But the beef, like the meat, is good. Like it's all completely free range. Like if I drive from here to Masuna, you see the cattle on the road. The steaks and burgers I'm eating, I've probably driven past.
Yeah. Probably.
So yeah, there's a definite meat side of things, but the caterpillars, mapani worms, they're called, big, thick grubs. They
Yeah.
dry them, they desiccate them, and then they usually sort of dry fry it with like a tomato and onion relish and things like that around it. It's genuinely really quite nice, and
Yeah.
they challenge tourists to try it at a lot of the Victoria Falls sort of tourist spots. Um, but yeah, I genuinely think it is well worth trying. We do flying ants. When you're fishing, you put a bucket of water down next to you, and it just fills up with flying ants. They just fall in it, they drown. You skim them off the top. They've lost their wings at that point. You throw them in a skillet with a bit of butter, and they genuinely come out tasting like crunchy peanut butter.
I have no problem trying different stuff. Obviously, I'm not a fan of spicy food, but I've tried grasshoppers and other stuff I've tried. So I would not have a problem trying it. I think.
Good man.
Yeah, you have to try. So I know they speak English down there, but do you speak any of the other 28 languages?
I know a few words here and there, and just a few basic phrases, not even enough to be conversational. My wife is pretty much fluent in Ndebele, which is the dialect, the language that's spoken around Bulawayo, the Matabele language.
Yeah.
It's quite heavily related to Zulu. It's a Bantu language, comes from the same like genealogy, if you like, of languages.
Yeah.
The official language of the country is indeed English. The second most official, arguably, is Shona, simply because the ruling party is from Mashonaland. Harare is Mashonaland. So there's a lot of like Shona that's spoken. Most people in the country will speak English and Shona, and then their local language as well, which means the Shona have a bit of a reputation on this side of the country, because obviously they speak English and Shona, but they don't speak any other language. Whereas in Matabele land, they will speak English, Shona, and Matabele, their own language, Ndebele, their own language,
Right.
and often Tonga, and so yeah, it's often exclaimed that the Shona just don't care. They're a bit hoity-toity because their language is the main one.
Okay. I just thought of a question now. This is gonna be. This was fun in my head, but have you had some?
Sure.
Have you had some incidents while living down there that normally doesn't occur, like in London, for example, like a rhino smashing into your vehicle or something like that?
Yes.
Oh,
100%.
amazing.
Yes. So Bulawayo is not a particularly wildlife area. However, Victoria Falls, where I lived until last year, the first 4 years of me living out here were in Vic Falls. 100%. The town itself is inside the national park. It is every day. If I was walking to work, I'd be walking past baboons, walking past warthog. One of the routes I used to take to work had a particularly disgruntled warthog that would often charge at me out of the bushes. Very territorial. It'd be entirely
like every day.
Pretty much. I learned to cross over the road and run.
Like a movie. Amazing.
Going shopping. We had an open-backed Bucky at the time, a Ford Bantam, and if we went shopping with all our shopping bags in the back of this open-backed truck, Carrie would have to drive, and I would sit in the back of the truck while she's driving, so that I could whip away with like a cloth or whatever. Baboons trying to jump into the back and steal our groceries. Driving through town, you would fairly frequently see elephants moving through town. Hippo, if you were anywhere near the water whatsoever, constant threat. We actually woken up with this almighty crash. I thought the world was ending. As I leapt out of bed and threw open our curtains, there's a bull elephant has taken our gate clean off its hinges and is trying to eat from our tree.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there staring at this like, what the hell do I do in this situation? Carrie comes screaming out of the house with a big machete-like thing called a punga, and basically shouts this elephant down and chases it out of the garden. Yeah, so 100% you get wildlife conflicts a lot around Zimbabwe. It's incredible. Um, like going to sleep at night and hearing hyena doing the woo yip in the distance. Beautiful. Cannot trade that for anything. But you have to be careful. You don't walk to the shops after dark. You do not walk to
Yeah.
the shops after dark. We had lion up and down our road, lion track fairly frequently. You'd hear them growling, all this kind of thing. Hyena, as I said, elephant. Yeah, it's a dangerous place at night
I
for the animals, not for the locals.
I do sometimes listen to this stuff on YouTube where like you need to sleep, so you can listen to, I don't know, like ghost stories, like you sleeping in a ghost house, or you're sleeping in Africa, or stuff like that. And I have a few times actually been listening to these Africa sounds and try to like imagine how it is to sleep there. And like in a bed, like here in Sweden, we don't have much lion, so it's fine. But actually sleeping in Zimbabwe, and you're hearing like an elephant or hyena, as you say, or even if you hear like a little warthog, like I don't know how they sound, but like I don't know, and
Like
that
pigs,
would,
basically.
yeah, they would terrify me. I would not be able to
See,
sleep.
here in Bulawayo, Bulawayo may as well be like a suburb of London. Like having grown up in suburban UK, small towns on the Kentish coastline and things like that, Bulawayo is not really all that much different there. You hear cars going past at night in the distance, and that's kind of it. But Vic Falls, yeah, as I said, you fall asleep and you hear the hyena in the distance. If you're lucky, you might hear the lion sort of growling as they walk past. And I kid you not, because where we lived was pretty much on the edge of town. There was us and one more road before you hit the road out towards Botswana. Um, it was constant. It was constant. We never let our cats out. They were house cats completely, because we didn't want them to get used to going outside and going out at night. Because you let your cats out at night, they're probably not going to come back in the morning.
Oh yeah, you have two cats.
Yeah, two beautiful little ones. Moogle, our teeny tiny tabby terror, and Chimera, who is our little white calico, docile little dipstick.
All right. Are they from London or?
No. Those are both from here.
Okay. Okay.
Those both Bulawayan cats. We
Oh,
also have a rabbit now as well called Luna,
all right.
who thinks she's a cat.
Oh, okay, that's cute. I've seen that you had some troubles with financing your stay. What happened?
This was the recent shout out where I needed to ask for some donations, and bless them, the community really, really stepped up and outdid that. Did themselves on that. I was not expecting half the support I got, and just it was really quite humbling. Basically, to give a brief bit of backstory, Zimbabwe does technically generate electricity. We've got a couple of coal-based power plants, and a couple of dams here and there, Kariba Dam obviously being the main one. However, it does not even come close to serving its minimum requirements, which means we leech off the South African power grid, Eskom, sell a lot of electricity to Zimbabwe to fill our surplus. Still not enough. We still frequently get power cuts. We recently we at that time had been informed that Eskom were about to go through load shedding. They were having issues with their grid, which meant they were going to be doing scheduled power cuts, and that meant that the Zimbabwe, obviously being an external source, they were just going to cut almost completely, which meant massive power cuts for us here. I mean, literally, in some cases, these are multi-day power cuts. Now, with YouTube being my only source of income at the time, Carrie was out of work at the time as well. Essentially, we were suddenly hit with the realization that the little tiny bit of savings we had, because we were pretty much living month to month, the tiny bit of savings we had was not going to be enough to fuel our generator for the month, let alone to actually get it repaired. And with no generator, we have no electricity. No electricity means no phone, no ability for me to, produce content. So I put out an alert to the community and just said, look, guys, I'm so sorry to ask this, but this has suddenly hit us. We need, a couple of $100 to repair the generator and to fully fuel it. And the response that came back, as I said, was overwhelming, choked me up. We not only repaired the generator, we completely refilled it. We actually bought a new jerry can and filled that as well. We had enough for basically a month and a half's worth of fuel straight out of everything, and it was incredible. It was so humbling.
That's amazing to hear. Oh my god. And also, like, just imagine having a power out and you have to sleep with the hyenas. Even worse.
In Vic Falls, the worst ones of those were October. So imagine, during the daytime, the temperature goes up to about 48 degrees Celsius. At night time, the temperature might drop as low as maybe 38 degrees Celsius. Then you've got a power cut, and that power cut means no aircon, no fan, nothing. There were days when there's just like Carrie and I on our stone floor, lying in our underwear, just like wishing death.
Holy man. Oh my god.
You learn tricks like when you know that kind of thing's going to happen, you get like a sarong or something, you wet it in the shower, and then you keep it in the fridge.
Yeah.
So when the power goes, you've got something to cover yourself with and that. But oh man. Oh, as someone who grew up in the UK, oh man.
It's a bit different. It's a little bit
different. It killed me.
All right. Okay, so how can people help you if they want to help you?
So the way I look at it is that I don't just want to ask for help. I do have ways that you can just donate. I recently got my PayPal up and running again, but I would much rather try and give something back to the community if they're going to help me out. So I have my Patreon page, where you can pledge to support, and supporters get information of my life here in Zimbabwe. I try not to keep any of the Eve Echoes content behind that because I don't want to charge people for my content ever. But my supporters get to see like snapshots of what life's like for me. I do little videos and things like that, and you can start earning your way towards what I think is pretty cool merchandise. We also have a merchandise store directly on a website called Redbubble, where again you can buy like t-shirts or hoodies, notebooks, stuff like this, and it does help out. It does help just not only pay the bills, but keeps us going. It helps us just to anything that's not directly paying the bills goes into a pot that helps me to upgrade my equipment, like getting a new microphone, getting new headphones. Now that I'm looking at getting into streaming, ideally at some point I would like to get a proper desk that I can sit myself at. So YouTube pays the bills, keeps the electricity on mostly, and puts food in the fridge. But for getting nice things like that, as I said, have to be shipped out from the UK for tech-based stuff. That takes obviously a little bit of extra saving. But it's getting there, and I don't want to rush anything. I'm proud of my content. I enjoy doing it the way I do it. Everything is done entirely on my phone. And people have said to me, why don't you get yourself a proper laptop and, Sony Vegas or some other editing software like that? It's like, because that to me is not fun. I kind of like the fact that it's all on my phone. So, I don't know, there's that.
I think you do great content, and I often look back at other content creators and see what they have done. If I get an idea what I want to do, I skim through what people have done, and if someone has done it, then I just don't do it, because even though I can make my own look on it, I still feel like if that is good content already out, then I don't need to do it. And you have a lot of stuff for Eve Echoes beginners and a lot of fun stuff actually. So I think it's very good, and I think you should keep going, and you will continue growing, of course. And I think it's amazing that you can live down in Zimbabwe with your love of your life and doing what you love to do. I think it's amazing.
Thank you, and I do agree. A lot of people say to me, Benzie, why don't you do more PvP videos? And there's a part of me that says I wouldn't mind, but Baked does that really well. He's got a lot better PvP skills than I will probably ever have, so watch his content for that. And yeah, YouTube, it's been an incredible journey, for the simple fact that this country has 97% unemployment before COVID hit. It's worse now, most people are completely unemployed here. So trying to make ends meet, trying to find a job, I can do it. I know ways to do that, but it would stop me creating content because I would be basically running 2 jobs to achieve the same kind of thing. That's going to stop me ever being able to play the game, let alone actually make tutorials and content for it. That's why I'm so humbled that the community is so willing to support this. That they have come out so many times and said, look, what can we do to help? And that's fantastic. It's so humbling.
But it's amazing what the community can do if you do stuff for the community. So I'm happy for your situation right now, even though it could be better, and it probably will be better in the future too.
I think there's certainly a lot to be said that I think anyone's situation could be better. Like, unless you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, other than that, anyone could always have an improvement.
I guess.
As I said, when it comes down to it, like with Eve is an experience, it's not a race. Same's got to be said for life. It's an experience, not a race. I'm not here to look at what other people have got and say, oh, I wish I had that. I'm here to be happy with what I've got and just keep doing what I enjoy.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, I think. Okay, so I will not take more of your time. I really enjoyed that you joined me here. And maybe we can do this another time. Maybe talk deeper about specific aspects of the game, since both you and I have some deep knowledge into this game. So I think we could pass on a lot of interesting facts to the people.
It's been an absolute pleasure being here, so thank you ever so much for having me. And yeah, absolutely, I'd love to do this again. Any opportunity to talk about Eve Echoes. My wife is sick of it, so when I said I'm doing a podcast this evening, she said just, yeah, awesome, go in the room and talk to someone else about Eve Echoes.
Oh, she has to start playing.
No, she's very, very supportive. Bless her.
Yeah, she looks supportive, at least in some videos, like the Zimbabwe one.
Yeah, I'm a very, very lucky man.
Indeed you are. Yeah,
no, it's been an absolute pleasure being here, so thank you ever so much for having me. Seriously, any opportunity to talk about Eve Echoes, I'm always up for. So, yeah, if you want to do this again and we can talk about some stuff related to the game, more than happy to. My wife will just be happy to get rid of me and have someone else listen to me ramble on about Eve Echoes for a while.
That sounds amazing. Okay, you have a great day.
Thank you, and to you.
Yeah, bye-bye.